Hello, and welcome to Wine with Wita, the podcast that is dedicated to engaging with health professionals and caregivers in meaningful discussions. I'm your host, Rita Shamoon, or as my clients call me, Wita. I'm a pediatric speech pathologist, and I am so excited to have you here. Each week, we deep dive into connecting you with caregivers and healthcare professionals, sharing their insights, stories, and key takeaways to help you with your child's diagnosis and your journey. Whether you are a parent, healthcare professional, a lifetime learner, or simply a wine enthusiast, you're in the right place. So let's sit back and relax and enjoy today's episode. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Wine with Wita. Today, I am taking a different turn. I am talking to a dad. This dad is a devoted father, and he is also the founder of Dad Speak, which is a support network for fathers raising children with special needs. I am graced with Atilio Brito. Welcome, Atilio, to Wine with Wita.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Now, we met through a mutual friend named Jolene, who is the founder of Help You Cope. She has set up a remarkable foundation for families that do have special need children, but also as a networking capacity. Last year, I actually ran a father series to really highlight the importance of dads in their child's intervention as well as their supporting their partners. And it was a hit. It was really nice to celebrate dads and all the wonders that they do with their children. So, Atilio, please introduce yourself and tell us what brings you to Wine with Wita today.
Okay, so Atilio Brito. I'm a father of three. So I've got my oldest boy, Alexis, who's on the spectrum, nonverbal, ADHD. He's got some other things as well. So he was, I guess, the start of my fatherhood journey. So, which was really interesting because you have a perception of what a father journey would look like. You see other, you see your dad raising you as a child. You'll see, your friends and family having their own children. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And then I've got my middle son, who's Alessandro. Going back to Alexis, who's 9. Alessandro, who's going to be 7 in June, so 6. He's again he's not on the spectrum, but he's on a different, I guess, horizon to my son as well. So very energetic, very intelligent. So it's just on a different journey. And then I've got my baby girl, Adriella, who's 4. Really, again, changed my world again.
She's the boss.
I just got children at all different levels, and it's just interesting when I talk about my children with people. It's just like, how's fatherhood, and I'm like, well, it's just like a wild card. You don't know what you're going to get the next day. So, but look, would I change it? And people were like, yeah, you would, like, maybe a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, I think I've got given cards, and I'm so blessed to experience fatherhood with these 3 children that I have. So, but other than that, look, I'm a devoted father, husband to my wife Teresa, and she is my world. She has supported me with everything that I've done. Dad Speak would not be possible with the support of her just having my back, carrying the extra burden that I carry as well on a daily basis as a dad, especially with a special needs child. She is the rock of our family, and I guess she gives me the extra power and energy so I can carry on this group and organization that I've done for fatherhood. But look, other than that, just a dad that likes to exercise, go to work. I've got my own business as well. But look, other than that, it's just, it is my passion just to speak to as many fathers as possible. And it's not just to help them, it's to help me as well. People are like, and we'll go into that in a minute as well. They think, oh, you've got it all down packed, but it's not like that. I love chatting to other dads because it's just good to understand what they're going through and just realizing that, you're not alone in this world.
Yeah. That was so beautiful. What a wonderful introduction. I loved how you spoke so beautifully about your family, your children, especially your wife. And it's so important to recognize that you're a team in this journey together.
Mm.
In my industry, when I'm working with families, I particularly work with a lot of mothers because they take on the caring role as dad goes out and is the breadwinner. But it's so lovely to start intertwining intervention goals with fathers because they're starting to recognize the importance that they play in their child's life. Talk to me about your son, Alexis, and when you discovered or when you found out of his diagnosis, and how did you take that from a father's perspective?
Yeah. I can still remember it. It feels like yesterday. It
Yeah.
was, there was a lot of denial. Being honest, there was I think it was when he just turned 1 and going to the age of 2.
Mm.
And look, my wife is very intelligent, and she, coming from a law background, she does a lot of research. And
Mm.
the first thing she did, even before the children were born was milestones.
Yeah.
Milestones. That's what you go by. And Alexis was hitting every single milestone. So for me, that was information to say that everything is running smooth.
Yeah.
I remember the only thing that he was delaying was just walking, but he started
Mm.
walking at 18 months on the day. So we thought, okay, we're fine, we're fine.
Yeah.
But it was at a stage where, we would call his name, he wasn't looking at me. Little signs, flapping their hands. It's just tippy toes.
Yeah.
He's got big calves for a little baby, just tippy toeing everywhere, and maybe a bit of stimming as well. So, and we went to see some professionals, and the professionals were like, it was funny because I was answering all the questions on behalf of the family. Is he playing with
Yeah.
his cousins? Is he socializing? And me being in denial, I'm like, yes, I just wanted to see that in my
Yeah.
eyes. Yes, he is socializing. He is, babbling. And so we got to a point where I was like, look, can we just please, take him to a specialist and let's get him tested. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Let's get it done. So, and at that time, while I was in denial as well, because my mum got admitted to hospital through liver cancer. And it was a big
That's
shock
so
because
heavy.
she was, I guess, the rock of
Mm.
my family with obviously my siblings. And then when you get that news, like she was my best friend at the time. Like we will talk. I was overseas for a very long time. We'll talk on the phone every Friday, and we'll just talk about our lives. So that took a really big effect on me. So that's why I was so in denial with my son.
Mm.
And so she passed away, and then we actually got. So she passed away in January 31st. And then in March, April, we went to get him tested, and we were thinking, okay, maybe he has autism level 1. He can live a semi-normal life. So we're already
Yeah.
planning his life.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when the specialist told us the news, I was looking away from the doctor. I was just playing with my son with the toys on the floor. Teresa was just looking at the doctor, and I just heard the news: level 3. You know, heavily needs support for the rest of his life. He won't be doing this. He won't be doing that. He needs this support. And all I was hearing is support. Won't be doing this. Don't expect this. And I just remember just tears falling out, like just falling down my face. And you know, I don't really cry, but that moment I was just in tears, and I was just trying to hold it back as much as possible. And
Yeah.
the specialist like, do you understand, Atilio? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even look.
Yeah.
And I remember just the ride home to just in the car with Alexis and Teresa, and it, I don't remember driving home. I was just in pilot mode,
Yeah.
and the car was just so quiet. It was just really quiet. And then towards the end of the trip, Teresa was like, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that. She's already in research mode. We need
Yeah.
to talk to this specialist, we need to talk to that, we need to do this, early intervention. All we just saw on the internet was just early intervention. So,
Yeah.
but from that day on, I wasn't the same person. I was not the same person. I just fell in a very deep hole. And, I think it lasted about 2 years. I was in that hole. And, I'm
Wait, did you experience like denial? Like this isn't the case, and wait, let's take him to another specialist to get another opinion.
yeah. Look, no, we were pretty confident in that report,
Yeah,
but just yeah, it was just like I was just trying to be on survival mode. To be honest, I
yeah,
was just going day by day. I was thinking about it every single day.
yeah,
I had dreams and goals like any other father. I'm a big, soccer fan. I played soccer all
yeah.
my life, and my vision was to train with Alexis. Have kicks in the backyard, going for runs together. Supporting the same team, and obviously that's just not the case. And so just going back on how I coped, I didn't cope well for the
Yeah.
2 years. I can't remember anything. It was just
Mm.
that there was other things, other events that happened in my life,
Yeah.
and there was maybe like four major, no, I think maybe three other major events that happened, including my son being born, Alessandro. He
Yeah.
was born June that year, and I snapped my Achilles, and then two other things happened, and then that's
Oh
where
dear.
it was
Yeah.
just like, nah, I'm out. I couldn't remember anything. So, it's just a bit of a shame because all I can remember was the milestones for Alessandro. I was making sure that he was meeting. I wasn't
Yeah.
enjoying fatherhood. I was
Yeah.
making sure, is he looking at me? Is he having eye contact? Is he walking? How's his fine motor skill? And I just, that's probably the one regret is that I
Mm.
just didn't enjoy it enough. And,
Mm.
but look, again, my world, my rock, Teresa, she was just like, you were very athletic when we met. You need to get back into exercise.
Yeah.
So, and we can talk about that after, but that's when
Yeah. Yeah.
I snapped out of it and I just started doing things for myself to
Yeah.
just help
Absolutely.
myself and to help the family.
Yeah. You spoke so beautifully about your mum, and God rest her soul, by the way, and how much she was your best friend and how you would speak to her on a daily basis. Did you feel like you needed that one person to talk about all your concerns right after Alexis was diagnosed? Like, yes, you've got your wife,
Yeah.
but your mum played such an important role in your life. Who did you
It
consult
is.
with at that time?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I, I didn't consult with anyone. I was
Yeah.
just, I would, being honest, I wasn't as open to my wife as I would be normally.
Yeah.
With my mum, I'd always talk to her about anything. We would
Yeah.
share deep things with each other, and
Mm.
it's like I felt like she was my safe haven at the time. But I just didn't realize that I did have my partner there. That I should have
Yeah.
leaned on her more. I should have opened myself more.
Mm.
And yes, it was super hard. Anything that big that happens, like I remember just when my wife was pregnant, I would call her. I'll let her know. She was like one of the first ones to know. She knew about Alessandro. Unfortunately, she didn't get to meet him, but she was the first,
Mm.
to that I could break the news to, and we will share that moment together. But it was, yeah. Looking back at it, and it's funny because I never thought about that, and
Mm.
it's something that probably makes me a bit emotional because I would have loved to
Yeah.
have that chat with her about what I'm
Yeah.
through, and maybe I would have dealt with it better. But
Yeah.
the worst thing that I could speak to any dad out there is not to keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
To make sure that you talk to your friends and family.
Yeah.
I was always in denial. I was always telling people that I was okay,
Mm.
and it was far from the truth.
You say or I would always tell people that you are okay. Is that purely because of that masculine concept of I've got to hold my family together, I've got to raise my boys to be the best that they can be, and I cannot show any inch of emotion because it then will impact me in the way that I father and how I'm a partner?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely 100%. You hit it nail on the head. With that being said, it was funny because like I look back into it and I would just hold it in the whole day.
Yeah.
I would play this poker face to society, to the specialists, to my dad, my sister, my brothers, and then I would go home, and then Teresa would just get the grunt of it. I would be
Mm.
grumpy, I would be angry, I would be screaming, I'll just be letting. my frustration, and it wasn't fair on her.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
wasn't. So that's why Dad Speak was founded, because
Yeah.
I don't want any other dad to go through what I did. I didn't want them to lose those precious years. I don't want them
Mm.
to break that relationship with their partners, that they built for so long to get to that
Mm.
stage. And
Mm.
it's all about, for me, we're trying to prevent dads from walking out. We're trying to prevent dads from isolating, relationships with their child. There's
Yeah.
other ways you can have relationships, we like, for
Yeah.
instance, Alexis doesn't talk, but what we do together, even though we don't talk, we spend time with each other. We go for daily walks, we'll go therapy. That some day, and I'm being honest, like last night, he didn't go to sleep till like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I was grumpy, and I'm just being honest, but,
Yeah. 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 It's
I know
frustrating.
that in the morning he's got therapy, so I've got to work my best with him, that relationship, that I have to just, suck it up, put him
Yeah.
asleep, and get him up in the morning so he can have the best therapy and the best environment. So, it's, yeah, again, it's just going back to their dads, just, speak to someone. I always say, have one
Yeah.
conversation at a time.
Yeah, yeah. One conversation at a time, one ear to listen to will just make your day that little bit better. When did you start Dad Speak? You obviously built it on the foundation of your own suffering and your own burdens that you experience. And thought, if it's only I can't be the only man in this situation, there must be other dads out there. Now, the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
women communicate with each other, women, when
Yeah.
we meet up for our coffee, we go from talking about our kids to our dinners to what we buy, like it's a 360. Evidently men communicate in a very different way. How did you start Dad Speak, and what ignited that? Not, I know your son was a big driving factor, but what also
Yeah.
ignited that foundation?
So I'll give you a bit of a history lesson now. So, um, during COVID, it
Mm,
was a time for us to, I guess, rediscover ourselves, and it
yeah,
was also time to get back into your hobbies. Just
yeah,
just do something to kill a bit of time, because we were just isolated.
sure.
And so when I was little, I loved gaming, consoles, and so I got back into the PlayStation, and I got into the online community, and I met someone from the UK, and
Oh,
that UK person said, "Hey, I know someone from Australia that I'm sure that you guys are just neighbors." And I go, "Well, Australia's pretty big, but anyway." That girl introduced us, to Phil, who's my
j-
co-host, and I
oh, really? Oh,
and
wow.
so we started talking, and then fast forward, we discovered that we both had special needs children on just chatting. I never seen his face, he's never seen my face, but we just knew each other's voices, and we discovered that we had special needs children, and then it got to the point where we became really good friends, because I could lean on him on the
Yeah.
daily, because we talked about you know poo smearing, for instance, right?
Sorry,
So
I don't mean to
we
laugh, but
no,
it's
it's
funny how
fine.
conversations change from, hey, what beer do you want, to the poo smearing.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the conversation that I have with my good mate Phil, and we would talk about poo smearing, and we would laugh because we both understand. We
Yeah.
talk about the little wins, like, hey, my son, my 3-year old, he actually toilet trained himself, where my son, who was like 5, he started going to the toilet for the first time, and it was a big win. Like,
Yeah.
he's not in nappies anymore, and we're celebrating those little milestones. And we
Yeah.
laugh about it all the time. We laugh about, oh, he'll be like, my son ate 10 toast or Vegemite today, and we'll just start laughing, because it's funny for us, but it's other parents just don't get it, because he's just like,
Yeah.
my son never eats, but he ate 10 toast today. I'm so happy that he put something in his body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, and then we just, we met up for the first time after the lockdowns. We met each other at the, like, well, sorry, going back, we just started talking. We just said, hey, where do you live? And then he told me where he lives. I told him I live. And we're like, mate, we're 30 minutes apart. We're 30
No
minutes
way.
apart.
He's
Yeah.
literally your neighbor.
So we decided to meet at the park. We met at the park, and we got the 2 kids. Our kids weren't socializing. They were just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And, we will talk, and then one child will run off. So we'll run and get him back and bring him back to the center. But yeah, we became really good mates, and we just said, wouldn't it be really cool if we could just share our stories? Like, because we found that just by having that relationship with each other, our lives was just a bit better, just
Yeah.
talking, like just to lean on someone. So we got to thinking, and then I just said, look, I'll just come up with a name, a logo, and because both our children are technically non-verbal, because obviously they use iPads to
Devices,
communicate.
yeah.
We are the voice for our children, so we just said, well, we're dads and we speak for our children, so we just said Dad Speak. So that's just how it came alive. We started our first podcast, I think it was last year in
Yeah.
January, or maybe the year before, and we just kept it recorded for maybe 4 months. We never released it. And
How come?
I think I think maybe we're a bit scared.
Yeah.
We were,
Vulnerability.
yeah, vulnerability, and it was just opening ourselves to society. But at the same
Mm.
time, we didn't know. I didn't know how to edit the
Yeah.
podcast. I was just learning,
It's a
graphics,
journey.
and then once I discovered what to do, then I released it, and we did episode after episode, and then we had a bit of traction. And then we had mums reaching out to us saying, hey, are you guys meeting up? And then, we just said, look, let's just do a catch up, a barbecue.
Yeah.
So thanks to our partner, well, they're our community partner, Shrine Shed in Campbelltown,
Yeah.
who I've built some fruitful relationships. At the time, I built a relationship with Lisa, who unfortunately passed away. She was just a valued person in the community, so loved in the community, and Shannon as well. So Shannon, who I still get in contact with, they gave us the facilities, and all these dads came. There was 20 different dads, and the topic of the night was, how it was important to get your children into physical activity to improve their mental health. So we got together, and there was 20 different dads. It was such a beautiful night where other dads were, left vulnerable because they would talk about their lives. We talked about, our children, of course. We talked about, their environment. We talked about intimacy as well, which I never thought
Mm.
would be possible.
Mm.
And, we just got tips and tricks from each other. And it was so rewarding. It was meant to be, I think, for an hour and a half, and we ended up being there for 3 hours or 3 hours and a half.
Wow.
So we did
That's
the
huge.
talk, barbecue, and people were just staying because they just wanted to talk to one another. And so so that's how it came. And after that, we're like, okay, I think we've got something here. We can kind of see
The
a
need
gap.
in the community. Yeah.
Correct. And the other reason why we wanted to do something like this is because nothing to do like with other community groups. We think the work that they do is fantastic. It's just that when I've gone to those groups, I'll be the only dad there. There would just be mums
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yeah.
and
And that's
there's
quite
nothing wrong.
intimidating.
We think it's perfect, but as a dad, I kind of felt maybe a little unsafe because I didn't want to be judged from what I was saying. I didn't want to say, you
Mm.
know, Teresa makes me upset, blah blah blah, and then the whole women crew would be like, "What do you mean? She does this because of that," like. So I can't
The
really
women
share.
coming against each other, coming against you.
Exactly. So I couldn't really, share what, from a male's perspective, what
Yeah.
we think. Because sometimes we just need a vent, as a dad
Yeah.
as well. We do vent. So on that night, the only women that were there was just maybe like people, volunteers, but the rest were just males and dads, and we were just talking. And there was dads from all different ages. There was as young as like under 20 to over 40, and
Wow.
so, and for us, it's not about, dads with children. It could be any age, because I
Mm.
could be a dad with a 35-year-old. They're still your child,
Yeah. You see your
So,
child.
so for us, it's open to everyone. We didn't want to make it, specifically to a diagnosis. It's
Mm.
just open to any special needs father, because
Yeah.
no matter how little or how big it is, for us, it's big.
The impact is huge. How did you feel after you anticipated like a 1 hour catch up to then leaving after 3 hours thinking, Wow, we're onto something here. The connection with dads and actually speaking the same language with dads. Did you feel like you were able to fill a void that you have been missing for such a long time?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100. Like, yeah, I agree with you on that one because
Yeah.
we did a bit of a recap. Me and Phil, we just after the we were in the car park, we packed up and we were just gobsmacked. I was thinking maybe like five dads will show up. I was
Yeah.
just like, I was so nervous because we were just out there in the community. I was our first event, and Terry was just like, "Who cares? Who cares if it's just one dad that shows
One.
up? You're helping one dad."
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, well, I just did the numbers in my head. I was thinking 30 people put down they were attending. And we thought maybe 15, and then I halved it again, and I said maybe 7 in my head. But then we had
Yeah.
20, and dads just kept coming in, coming in.
Wow.
And then we thought, look, we definitely need to do something here. I think
Yeah.
that there is, I hate using this word, like a market for dads. I just
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to,
I know what there's
I
a
want to say
niche. There's
that
a niche for you guys.
it's a safe space for dads. That
Yeah.
is what I like to say. It's a place where we're non-judgmental. It's a place
Mm.
where we can just talk about what is happening in your life and just to be heard and just to build friendships as well. Because sometimes you
Yeah.
might need a connection where you can vent with someone back and forth and have maybe
Yeah.
a buddy.
Yeah, especially because you understand each other, and like with the examples you said, like my son had 10 sandwiches or 10 pieces of toast. For someone who understands the need of that sensory need, the overeating is actually is because of something else. Other people that aren't in the same boat will be like, why is that child eating so much? But the people that you connect with, like, gotcha, bro. I know what's going on. It's all good. Yeah, my child had 3 tubs of yogurt today or something. And so you understand each other, non judgment, and you feel what you said before, feel safe to
Yeah,
communicate.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You mentioned earlier about the need to supporting children through their physical exercise. Is that what you also incorporated with Dad Speak too when you talk about your exercise journey?
Yeah. So look, we've done some brainstorming on with Dad Speak, and it's just funny how much it's grown from its
Mm,
foundation. So we got 3 cores that we believe in. So we do
mm,
events now, and our 3 events are broken down to 3 categories. So one is specifically for dads, and what we're trying to
yeah,
do for dads here is just to give them the skill set to improve their mental health, and it can be
yeah,
through physical activity and
yeah,
also their mental side as well. So it could be from mental training. So what I mean by that is that we will have programs in the future where we will meet maybe some specialists that specialize in anxiety, or it could be
mm,
through dealing with their stress levels and so on. So that's number one. Number two is that is through father or dad and child. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to build
mm,
relationships so they can do things at home once they leave a session. So for in particular, we've got some sessions coming up where we're going to do some physical activity where they both can do the physical activity. No matter what level your child is, there will be something there for you so you can connect with your child. So
yeah,
what I believe with, especially with children with special needs, they have a lot of sensory issues and they eat a lot
yeah,
because they just want that loud texture in their mouth.
yeah,
And what happens is that because, mum and dad don't know what to do, they might just be on the iPads or they might
mm,
just be at home eating and they don't really move a lot. They're at school, they don't move a
mm,
lot because they're just in a closed environment just for their safety, but
yeah,
they don't do what a normal neurotypical child does where they'll play at lunchtime, they might play at
yeah,
recess, they come home, they'll go outside and play with their friends. So what
mm,
I'm trying to do is we're trying to do some physical clinics where dad and child can connect together and do
yeah,
some sports, a physical activity. So we're going to do some fun things. There will be like maybe some sport stuff coming up.
mhm,
There might be some fun activities where it's just swimming. There's so much on the pipeline that we want to
yeah.
do. But yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
I something just came to me. No, because I actually spoke to somebody who is a father with a special need, with a father of a special needs child, and
Yes.
he's actually set up a soccer club for special needs kids. And all that I could think of is when you mentioned earlier, I had a goal of kicking the ball with my son, but that's
Yeah.
impossible. But now there's a big possibility where you can incorporate your dream of
Yes.
engaging with your child in the way that you hope to, but at a
Yes.
level that your child can as well.
Correct.
So I'm going to send you his details and you can communicate and do something together in the men field. But yeah, what a wonderful way to understand the need of these children, but
Yes.
also see how you as a father can carry out the goal for your child too. And I think that's the wonder of understanding what mothers bring to the table, but
Yes.
also understanding what fathers bring to the table. Like, I know mothers are very much into the intervention and the hands on and doing all the treatment at home, but dads are really great with the physical aspect too.
Yeah.
And so it's about, okay, let's see what great things dads are good at. Let's encourage that so they're involved in their intervention journey too, so they can feel that sense of they can have fulfillment and purpose as well.
Correct. So we've got that. So that's part of our second foundation, and obviously, and then we got
Mm.
the third category, which is families. So we want families to be involved. It's Dad Speak is not just about dads. It's about
Yeah.
supporting. We're trying to improve the mental environment and physical environment back at home as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there will be family fun days, and there will also be seminars for
Yeah.
everyone at home. So what I mean by that is that we'll have things like, how to navigate puberty with special needs children,
Yeah.
because so we've got something up coming up like that as well. We've
Yeah.
also got things
Huge.
like finance, so how to manage your cash flow at home,
Yeah.
because this is a very tough
An
time.
NDIS maybe.
Yeah, so we got that as well. And then obviously we've got some other things where we want to incorporate, single mums as well. So this is something that probably will come
Yeah.
down along the line, because when I've gone to all these, community groups, I found there is a big, big group of single mums,
Yeah.
and it's nothing, no matter what the cause was, it's just that they may need a little support. So we wanted to
Yeah.
do kind of like a Big Brother program where
Yeah.
some of the
That's
fathers can give up
awesome.
some time and then help those families with those. So they
Yeah.
mums can come in, drop their kids up. Obviously, they'll be on site, and we can, mingle with their children as well, because we wanted to. The whole point of this is that we're trying to lift some of the burden off the mums, because they
Yeah.
are the
Yeah.
superheroes in the
Yeah.
special needs community. I can say hands down,
Yeah, they
mums,
are.
they're just amazing. Like the amount of mental burden, physical burden, the home environment, looking after their partners as well is just amazing. So,
Mhm.
if we can do something to, give them a cup of tea where they can mingle with other women and we can look
Yeah.
after their children, like, it would be amazing. So,
I
there's
love that.
so
I
so yeah,
love
so
that.
these are the three cores that we really want to focus on. Like, that's our
Mm.
vision, and that will be our vision moving forward. And then hopefully one of our main goals as well is that we do want to go to rural areas.
Mm.
I'm really passionate about that, because there's not enough support out there, especially
Yeah,
with that.
no.
So if we can, set something out there to help them mentally and physically, then
Yeah,
we're doing our part. So, but look, these
sure.
are just at the moment. We need dreams that
Write
we
them
can try to.
down because 'cause it'll happen, and it's so interesting that how many years ago you were just gaming with a mate, and then that led you to meeting this mate, to then creating an amazing foundation that I'm actually even thinking Dad Speak, yes, it's a podcast, but it's so much more than a podcast. You've created
Yeah,
a community where you're able to give people a sense of belonging and need and purpose, and they're valued there, and you're finding that they also need that moment of connection with other families. And for example, the need, the concerns that they're struggling with, like the puberty aspect, the financial aspect, that you are
yeah,
supporting them at that ground level, all
yes.
through your desire just to let people have a place to communicate. And I think that's like Australian of the Year kind of award. Like, that is beautiful. Congratulations. It's
No, look,
remarkable.
I think, look, at the end of the day, it's not. Look, I do this because I love it.
Yeah.
I wish I had a group that I could go to when my son was first diagnosed,
Yeah.
with just a place for dads that I could just connect with, and I could go once a month and just share what's happening in my life, and just whatever the activities, I would just go with, like, my arms open and just
Yeah.
be curious as well, because
Yeah.
for us, when we do events, we do it with a purpose. We don't just do events for the sake of it. We don't just be
Mm.
like, okay, well, something's coming up. Let's just think of like we strategize on what kind of events we want to do. How is it
Yeah.
going to improve Dad's life, and how would it improve the home dynamic?
Homeland dynamic, yeah, yeah. The research shows that when a dad's involved in a child's intervention, not only does the quality of their relationship gets better, but your relationship with your partner gets better and the household environment, the energy is a lot better too. So that ripple effect of encouraging dads to be involved is so huge on these families.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't
I
agree
wanted
more.
to ask, I should have asked in the beginning, you're based in Sydney, correct?
Yes, we are
Where are
based in
you
Sydney.
based?
So, our events are in West and also in the city.
Yeah.
So we have teamed up with, I can probably announce it now, and this is
Yeah.
probably exclusive, but it'll probably be announced obviously in my
Closer to
social
the
media the
time.
next day or so.
Yeah.
So we have teamed up with Western Sydney Wanderers.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
so we have,
awesome.
yeah, so we're collaborating on a lot of things together. So our first event will be in the next couple of weeks. Well, obviously, when people listen to this, we'll probably be maybe 3 or 2 events down, but
Yeah.
there's still going to be more events, so keep a lookout on
How
that.
can people
But
find out these events? Firstly, let's just recap. How can people access Dad Speak, Apple and Spotify podcasts, or just
yeah, so we've got Spotify,
yeah,
we've got Amazon Music, and then we've got
yeah,
iHeartRadio. Okay, but the
okay,
best way, I think, is just go on our Instagram, which is
yeah, Dad's,
dads.speak,
yeah,
or that you can just type in Dad Speak on Facebook, and then you will find a link. When we post it up, we put a podcast link on all
sure,
our major posts, and you just click onto it. And even if you don't have any of those social media posts, you can listen on the web link as well. So,
yeah, okay. And
so we
then
took
in terms
people.
of your events and that's all on your social media
Yes,
accounts.
correct. So when
Yeah,
you click on a special, when we really have advertised on our social media page,
yeah,
and if we have any events going on, you'll see on the top of the page. It's always pinned on top of the page, no
yeah,
matter what.
yeah. Wonderful.
So the whole, I
Attilio,
guess,
I can see just the passion in your face when you talk about it, and you are just talking with such love and desire to just help the community and especially fathers, because I feel like you are reflecting on your time. Then you desired that moment and you're like, how can I just fulfill someone else in their pain and suffering so they don't go in that dark hole that you experienced
yeah,
about 7 years ago or so?
yeah. Look, it is a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work. Like again, my wife, I don't know how she handles it because she takes a lot of the looking after the kids, bathing them, feeding them while I'm working on some dad speak stuff. And
Yeah.
but for her, she knows the importance of I guess the support that the partners need.
Yeah.
And I remember when we going back on our first event, I told her about it, and she was just so, I guess, proud and happy
Yeah,
that
of
I looked down that
course.
picture because. And then she was like, "You need to do that." I remember from that day on, she's like, "You need to do something now. Like,
Yeah.
it's already born now. Just go along with it
Yeah.
and stay consistent." So, you know, we have been quiet in the last couple of months, but it's because we've just been planning. So
Yeah.
it should be a big month, big year for our events and our podcast. And especially with our podcast, we've got we'll be doing a call out to all dads in the community if they want to jump on because we want to hear from other dads
Yeah.
and
I'm
hear their
happy to promote
stories.
that for you as well, because there's so
Thank
many
you.
families that follow. And
And
like
then
again,
and
the more
then
we
also,
talk, the better.
correct. And then part of that series as well, we'll have two series. One will be with dads, and the other part of the series that will be interviewing specialists in
Wow.
the special needs community. So it'll be a
Huge.
two-part series.
Yeah, I love it. Congratulations. And I wish you all the best. And without a doubt, you're going to achieve wonderful success, but also you're going to impact so many individuals. And I think that in itself is the most rewarding element out of everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Are you proud
Yes.
of yourself?
No, there's still a lot of work to do.
Why?
There's still a lot of work. I think, um, you know, look. There was one proud moment when we
Yeah.
actually had our first banner, and you could see the logo, you could see our message. Yes, it was a proud moment, but there's still so much work to do.
Yeah.
I it's funny how sometimes you reflect on the things that you've done, but then you think,
Yeah.
okay, well, how can I go bigger? How
Yeah.
can I put this in the
You're a high
next level?
achiever, I can see.
Yes. Look, the only thing I'm proud of is just my partner Teresa, because like I always
Yeah.
go back to, like, I probably don't tell her enough, and hopefully she listens to this.
Hopefully she listens. Maybe I should cut this part out and post it and you can share it today and go, "Attention, Teresa."
But no, no, she's amazing. Like sometimes
Yeah.
she lets me do the things that I need to do in life. Like, I do a lot of physical activity because it helps me
Yeah.
regulate. Like,
Yeah.
I do understand my body now,
Yeah.
that if I don't exercise, I don't function well. I'm
Mm.
grumpy. I'm not myself. And so, for instance, I wake up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the gym at 5 o'clock. I do what I need to
Mm.
do, and then I get on with my day. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she allows that. Sometimes I might need to do an extra session. So I go to the gym, I do jiu-jitsu, I do running. And
Mm.
so I'll be like, hey, I need to do some extra stuff. And she'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
just go. I've got the floor. But look,
Yeah.
we've got a good partnership going as well, because for her, physical activity helps her as well. She's just
Mm.
rediscovered herself, and she's been very consistent the last year. And
Mm.
she's just a machine at what
Yeah.
she does. Very
Yeah.
proud of her. And she's just hitting milestones after milestones. And I can't wait what she has in store for herself for the
Yeah.
next 3 to 6 months. So, but I'm extremely,
Congratulations to the both of you. Good on you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's like, well, you really raised an important point that you have to know what fills your cup in order for you to function better as a parent, a father, and a friend. Because without you knowing what you feel like society could tell you, you need to exercise, you need to meditate and that. But it's about finding your own values and what sparks those values so you can be a better version of yourself every day.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
So,
And what an
but look,
amazing model to show dads as well.
yeah, look, I think it shows a reflection on your children as well. I
Yeah.
think if you guys, as a team, show your children that you're being consistent at something, that it is
Mm.
helping you out, that they're
Disciplined.
going to realize,
Mm.
hey, my parents are onto something. So, for instance, I've got Alessandro, who's a little mini me. He's just
Yeah.
like, I've been on this health journey since, like, nutrition wise, since last June,
Mm.
and I've changed my world completely. And now he knows what the difference between protein, carbs,
Wow.
and it's
Yeah.
just fun. And after a good, because he does jiu-jitsu as well, and he does soccer. He's like, Dad, I need protein now. I need to have one of those
Oh,
shakes.
how old is he?
He's only 6 years old. It's funny. It's amazing. But he's just not
But you're
having
setting
that.
a foundation for him.
Yeah, he doesn't like to have,
Yeah.
he'll have junk food here and there, but he's just like, sometimes like, no, I want to actually eat some proper food. Look, we changed the way of our family's nutrition diet as well, because we
Mm.
just want to make sure that, they are, their lifestyle is, in a way that they can live a very long time, a very healthy
Yeah.
lifestyle,
Yeah.
um, ever since on this journey, I haven't gone to the doctors. I've never been sick.
Touch wood.
I might be
Yeah.
sick here and there, but not to a point where I have to go to a doctor. Where
Yeah.
before that, I would go to the doctors maybe once a month because I'll need
Yeah.
medication. But it's just,
Wow.
and that's just another thing to talk about as well. So, but
Like you're so I'm so proud. I don't even know you, but I'm just so proud of you that you're able to rediscover a new version of yourself and
mm,
really shape yourself into a better human, but not only for your own well-being,
yeah.
but you were such a great model for your children who you
And,
will without a doubt so proud of when they grow up and to become fathers themselves. So that's such a great reflection on you.
yeah, and look, it's not for everyone, and we're one of my podcast episode. We're talking to Phil, and Phil mentioned that, what's something that he looks forward to,
Mm.
and to improve his mental health. So, for instance, he will drop his son, obviously, to the speech pathologist, and, he's got it to a point where he can actually, doesn't have to be in the room,
Yeah.
and he can go out. So he always has an hour to kill. So, for instance, he goes, well,
Okay.
I'm going to discover what, meat pies are. So he actually went on a meat pie journey. So every week he would look forward
Because
to,
it's a
I don't know if it was meat pie or sausage roll, I can't remember. It was one of the episodes, but that was his go-to. That was something for him to look forward to.
passion.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
for me, that's like, he said to me, well, for you, that's the gym. You look forward to the gym.
Yeah.
That's what I look forward to. I crave it. Like, once
Yeah.
we finish this chat, I'll be going to the gym, because
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
slept
Yeah.
this morning because my son obviously didn't sleep
Didn't sleep well.
early
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah.
But I think everyone needs to look forward to something. Have at least one thing
Yeah.
something in the week that they look forward to, because it's something that, they work towards to. So for him, it was simple as discovering what is the best play in the area. So
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
it's something, and it was amazing. Just going back to that, to that point. It doesn't have to be exercise. It can be something little.
Anything.
Going for a coffee once a week on your own.
The
Going to
best.
that special place.
Yeah, absolutely. Atilio, you touched on so many remarkable points on this podcast. Not only did you empower fathers to speak, but also you raised the essence of having a community around you for special needs, because it's a need. Parents need that place to feel safe, valued, and heard, because you all speak the same language. And I feel so completely honored to share your story, but also to promote your platform, Dad Speak, because without a doubt, I know in my heart that it's going to go places that you don't even know yet, but I know it's going to go places. So congratulations on
Thank you.
creating a wonderful foundation and being such a great model for many fathers out there too. For people that want to access Atilio's podcast, I will put all the show notes all the details in the show notes. You can go see Dad Speak on Facebook or on Instagram. But please, I know there's some exciting things coming up over the next few weeks. So do follow and attend, because without a doubt, you will benefit from it too.
Correct. So
Atilio,
look, one more thing
continue.
I wanted to say just before we clock off is that, look, for any dads out there, for any dads, if you're a father to anything, if you're with your partner, if you're not, just come to our events, or just come with an open mind. Or if you know any friends or family that, any dads that are struggling, tell them to come or listen to our podcast. It's just a matter of reaching out. The one thing that I find out there in the community is that, and when I speak to heaps of partners of, their partners, is that the fathers don't want to come. They've got a lot of anxiety. They're shy. They don't want to share their story, But I can guarantee you, as soon as they come to our events, they will be in such a better place, because they know that there's going to be other dads like that when they leave their place, that they're on the same journey as them. It's just taking that first step of that door, and once they're there, I'm telling you, they're going to have a good time.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing. Good stuff, mate. I'm really proud of you. Good on you. For anyone, like I said, to follow Atilio on social media, and without a doubt, you will have a remarkable time at any of their events, or even have a good laugh on their podcast. Atilio, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a remarkable day. And thank you for being a wonderful guest on Wine with Wita. For everybody else, thank you for listening to this awesome episode. Please share it with any dads that you know as well. But another episode of Wine with Wita will be released next week. So please take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Wine with Wita. I hope you found some new inspiration, learnt something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you please leave a 5-star review, as it really helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it takes 5 seconds. If you're keen for more strategies and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow RS Speech Pathology.